Come on, let me on Google. You son of a... There we go. We on? Good. Is that how Jolly Roger? Wait, do they show that name? All right. Let's see if I understand this one bit here. Right here. That's a different ship, right? Looking good. Oh wait, yeah. We haven't started over here yet. Just getting set up. Pencil. All right. Hey guys, it's Tarak. How's the camera look there? Okay. And today, chapter 1101 release. This is another flashback chapter. I suspect it might be the last as well in the way that it's presented at the end. So we continue a bit from, this one is continuing right off where the last one left. The last chapter, to do a quick recap, we have this is a Kuma and Bonnie's flashback now. We had, in the last chapter, Saint Saturn and did a deal with Kuma to, in order to help Bonnie, where Kuma would agree to become a warlord of the sea and become a cyborg, more like a robot, really, as even Vegapunk put it, because he'll also lose his humanity eventually, have his mind erased. So somehow, that interesting thing too, I just thought about that is, how does Saturn know for sure that Vegapunk could really have like the technology to fully do something like that, to make a make a human fully into a cyborg. One second. Oh, Pinky, come on. Cats are in here. Also, I was thinking too, this reminds me so much of like Oda. It feels a lot like Oda's kind of borrowing from Akira Toriyama, the author of Dragon Ball, and how he had Dr. Gero, a brilliant scientist who ended up working for the Red Ribbon Army. Was he the founder or one of the founders? And how he, his work it was the same, was focused on what we're seeing Vegapunk do specifically here, and being able to take humans and build them into, the story calls them androids, but I think cyborg is more appropriate. One second. Pinky, wanna get up? Pinky, where are you? Come on. No, I'll get this going. Where'd you go, Pinky? Come on, good boy. Really looking at the last chapter is actually fascinating, because I've always pondered like how Gero did that stuff with Android 17 and 18. I forget what their real names are. He came out with real names. They're like given names. They're not. They just called each other 17 and 18 in the story, but their names, they had other names. Maybe they just forgot the names. And I wonder if they even remembered their life beforehand. That'd be a nice little story arc if they went to search for their parents. Maybe their parents were killed, and that's why Zoro took them. Anyways, let me pull up the other chapter quickly. Yeah, the last chapter. So the last chapter. Wait, what was that one called? So it was called, that one was Thank You, Bonnie, right? So the chapter went along with showing a bit of Egghead being built, how Kuma's transformation was going, and how Bonnie's cure was going. And the ending of it was focusing on showing where Bonnie first got took back to Sorbet, where Kuma was able to strike the deal where she could be kept there, so she'd be not imprisoned somewhere where she was being held hostage while he until he became a how was the deal? I was thinking indefinitely, but no. And once he fully became the way he is now, when he became a full-on robot cyborg, then they would have no more use for her. They're keeping her as a hostage so he doesn't run off with her. Frankly, though, I just realized with his ability, he could have just popped back in there and took her and run, I think. I'm a little surprised he's following through in this when he could have had, there's like a loophole there with his ability. Yeah, that came out of where? Nonetheless, this is how the story goes. And, yeah. Cypher Pole 8 are the ones in charge of watching Bonnie. And the end shows the montage of the other warlords finding out about it, being all the other 6 that were in their positions at the beginning of this story before Kuma came in. Because we don't even know still who this other warlord was. Just that Ace was the one who took this guy out somehow, or girl could have been. And they don't even say anything else. It could have been a girl for all I know. And the last bit of the chapter that got everyone up and all kinds of theories going and stuff was that Kuma was sailing around the East Blue, and he went to Fuchsia Village of his own on his own time, I guess you could say. That's right, actually. He could probably just go sailing around wherever he wanted. They probably wouldn't care where he's going as long as he's ready to, as soon as they call him up, say, hey, go kill these pirates, and he's like, okay. He just goes to Fuchsia Village, where Luffy's still there, this being 1 year before he set sail, as he was waiting till he reached the age of 17 to go out. So we see a brief panel of him in the last chapter where he was running around with a tiger. He had like teased it purposely, probably maybe like a training thing where that get his stamina up. And that had brought out all kinds of theories about whether or not Kuma was there to actually like talk with him or kill him or anything like that. But I was all skeptical of that one to some degree, and yeah, I was mostly right on that. Like he didn't really. I was trying to figure out what he could be doing there too, but it was so obvious. I can't believe I didn't think of it. But no, the government still didn't know about Luffy being there. That was the part I think I had speculated on in my last video, and that part was where I was like, right. The government doesn't know shit about Luffy still at this point. Dragonhead did a very good job of hiding Luffy, and that's exactly what he's doing. Anyway, yeah, let's start the chapter. This chapter is called Dear Bonnie. And throughout this, Kuma's continuously writing letters that we started seeing him do in the last one. So Kuma goes to Fuchsia Village here, and Kuma's been in this area before. That's why he's partially going here. No, I would not be able to do that. So he's in Fuchsia Village. We don't even see him in the village, actually. He probably docked there. We saw his ship go up to the dock area at the end of the last chapter. But now we see he's gone into the jungle area in the mountains, looking around, and he finds Luffy training. We see Luffy actually practicing his battle axe attack The one he, I remember him using on Arlong. I don't recall. No, I think he tried to use that on Crocodile as well, but it had no effect because that was before he had figured out how he needed to use liquid to harm Crocodile because he didn't have Haki yet. So Luffy's training here using Battle Axe and cutting through some bedrock or something with it. And Kuma's there watching him. And we see also get little animals that are watching him there. It's just funny because Luffy ends up on that other island with Rayleigh. I can't remember the name of it. And that'll be like months after this, where he's training there with these other very large animals that are like not something that would actually exist in our world. And he trains with those to get stronger. And that's where he develops some of those techniques that he uses with Gear 4th. He also has other animals here watching him. Another looks like a tiger, that same tiger I'm suspecting, and that crocodile or alligator. And while Kuma's watching him, he goes back to a flashback, which we get a little flashback, which I suspect is from the time where they went there when the Great Terminal burned down, when they would take in Sabo, and okay, so Kuma. So in this point here, just kind of like what happened to Ivankov, where Ivankov questioned questioned Dragon at one point. Kuma does too here, and he presses him a little more as he says, "You seem very familiar with this island, like we came here. Probably I'm saying they probably came here, to help stop the Great Terminal. Maybe this is after the Great Terminal burning, because they're just sitting there looking out. They're out in their ship, and they're surveying the city there and the walls. You can see all the walls and such there, and and so Kuma apparently went to Fusha Village at this point too, because he says, I went out and I was out taking a walk. I wanted to stretch my legs and get off the ship, and I saw this young boy there. And it doesn't say, the dialogue there doesn't say anymore, but the way I'm interpreting that is like, oh, he seemed to he looked quite a bit like you, Dragon, even though really they kind of don't. And Dragon just stops him and says, if you keep doing it, if you keep bringing this up, you may as well just kill me here and now. And Kuma's like, oh, whoa, okay, what do you mean? And then Dragon just goes, a child is the parent's main weak point of any parent. And Kuma, when did this happened? Did the Great Terminal happen when Bonnie was a child? And this hits Kuma poignantly here. So Bonnie, I'm trying to get the timeline back. I don't have the paper here. So Bonnie, he must be thinking of Bonnie at that point and realizing how true that is. And Kuma just says, okay, I'm sorry about that. I'll forget I said anything or saw anything. And this is a good point to stop and point how clever Dragon really thought about this, and how far he was going to have to go when he took up the Revolutionary Army mantle years ago to fight the government, and that eventually when he had Luffy, because Luffy was born, maybe 2 to 3 years after we know he had the Freedom Fighters already, 2 to 3 years after that point where he talked to Vegapunk and he said, I'm going to really go after the government. So at some point there, he must have realized, yes, I have to protect my son. Also, this leads me to think too that whoever Luffy's wife is, Dragon's wife is, wherever she came from, because people were speculating how she could have been a celestial dragon. That's funny now that we know that Ginny's father's a celestial dragon. Bonnie. But anyways, whoever Dragon's wife was, I'm assuming too that she must have been killed somehow, either by pirates or more likely government soldiers, the Navy or the Cipher Pole, while in combat with, maybe she was working with them kind of like Ginny used to, and she got killed years ago. And, well, that's funny. Actually, no. I'm thinking if she was killed that way, I would have thought Dragon would have said to Kuma when he joined up, hey, that's probably not a good idea. You join my wife just died. Is that right? My wife just died, and I don't want the same thing to happen to Ginny. I see you two are very close. Something along that lines. Or maybe she just got, maybe they were, it'd be more sad if it's that kind of thing where like, this is such a cliche one that it seems they always happen in some stories where the father's out and then these hoodlums or other people who no, sometimes they're usually people like know who the father is and they want to go after the kid and mother and they go after him and kill him in their home or something. There was that Shang-Chi movie, the Marvel one, that I recall most recently doing something like that, where the guy's that criminal mastermind, and he marries that woman, and her and her son and daughter, they're at home, and then she fights off these guys, but like, and she has superpowers technically, but not only if she had been in her homeland. So anyways, I should bring this down just a little bit, shouldn't I? Yeah, there we go. Because then I keep thinking. There we go. So Luffy Kuma's still reflecting upon that while he's watching Luffy train, and Luffy's just talking to himself about like, oh, I finally perfected this move. I'm gonna save it for fighting a very strong enemy. And we get a shot of him. He's training here with he's wearing a straw hat all the time, of course, and we've seen the other animals I talked about like afraid of him, like, oh god, this kid's too strong. We're not gonna eat you. And Gum Axe. Don't they call it Battle Axe or the same thing? Because Battle Axes are actually different than a regular axe. I was watching a video recently about how a regular axe is different than a battle axe, and that a battle axe will be made to be lighter because you got to swing them around more, and when they're used to fight enemies. And a regular axe has more weight to it, but that helps for like chopping down trees and such. To me, it's Luffy though. While Kuma's watching first, no, that's the other way. I thought it was the other way. While Kuma's watching, his Denden Mushi, his cell phone rings, and he didn't have it on silent, and so Luffy hears it, but Kuma's able to pop himself away, with his devil fruit, and but also like Luffy seems to have been sensed Kuma's presence. And he turns around where Kuma was, and then it's like, who's there? And then when Kuma doesn't reappear or anything, he's like, wow, I could feel that someone really powerful was behind me. Oh, that was giving me, it even gave me chills, he says. So that's the end of what we see of Luffy in here, actually. So that's it. Kuma just came there to want to see how Luffy, Dragon's son, was doing, and I don't know if he's like trying to hope that Dragon's son will come and help them someday or whatnot, but the main thing I'm thinking about here is this explained to me now when Kuma tested out the metal of the Straw Hats at Thriller Bark, particularly with Zoro, and he was very impressed. He said, you have a great son, Dragon. He was speaking aloud to himself. He wasn't talking to Dragon. He doesn't communicate. We can see in here that he's not communicating with them anymore, but they still don't know why. Well, Dragon wouldn't really piece it together and try to help. So many little things I feel like that could have happened that makes some things help out here. But so Kuma's out got new orders about going after some pirates that have raided a merchant ship, and we see here that Kuma too, when he's going after pirates, he doesn't seem to like go after them directly all the time, especially in an instance like this. It looks like he's pulled up alongside the merchant ship that was attacked, and he's gonna take the wounded ones to a hospital first. Because he's got that, because of his paw power, he can like transport other people to a place easily. I don't know if that means he hangs on to him and then pops away, or if he just thinks about where he wants, so to speak, kind of like an instant transmission, but then he goes like boop, and then they go flying toward. But the thing is, how would that be safe for injured people? I wonder, to go there. I just don't, because he sent the Straw Hats away. Well, yeah, Zoro got sent there. I don't know. It seems like that could be dangerous to send injured people, like he did that with Zoro too, when he sent them to I don't know the island's name where Mihawk is. It looks like he's even like there's. If I understand this right, at one point when he's still helping the merchants, he's getting called like, Kuma, where are you? Have you got those pirates yet? So he goes after. It does look like he goes after the pirates at one point, and I don't know if he destroys them. It just looks like they give up because they know who he is now. His reputation has preceded him. He's got his Jolly Roger, and they see who he is. Also, I just noticed on the smaller sail on his ship, he's got that crosshair style thing that he wears on his shirt on that sail, and the bottom one's got his name with his Bonnie's drawing of him. And at this point, we switch to Kuma sailing around by sunset, and he's writing another letter to Bonnie. And he's writing quite a few of them, we find out. He talks about how beautiful the world is, and how I hope someday I can see your face when you get to come out to the world and see everything for the first time. So now we're going to switch to Bonnie's portion in this, Bonnie in this chapter, and she's waiting here patiently for another letter, or a first letter, as we're going to find out that this asshole, a cipher pole, is not letting Bonnie read any of the letters. He's been sending dozens of them, it turns out. So she's watching through the little mail slot in her in the church because she still doesn't think she can go out. Yeah, this is probably still within the time frame where she's not supposed to go out, the 1 year after the treatment, and she's watching there. So she's watching there, and she's like, she's just like looking open and closing it, basically. And the one guy there, what's his name? Gyo, the one with the hat, he's like, Bonnie, it's okay. I'm sure he's just busy at work. Well, he'll send you a letter soon. Or maybe the news crews keep messing up. We'll have to look into that. So, Connie is here too, the Queen Dowager. And Bonnie's like, oh, but Dan, he says he'd be writing me a bunch of letters. And Connie just tries to reassure her, like, yes, I'm sure he will. It's just, if he's traveling around. Wait, do they know he's traveling around? They probably think he's. Wait, what does she think he's doing now? I forget what his cover was. So Connie just says the letters have to come from a long way, So I'm sure they'll get here sooner or later. And this is what we see what's happening, though. We see a news crew come. It drops the mail and a newspaper, and she, Alpha, her name is. She picks up the letter, and she's reading it herself. So then what she does is she has one of the other agents over there, and she gives that guy the paper, says, hey, you can leave that in the church. And then we get the paper. We get a scene here where the paper, particular paper is getting delivered, and I'm going to call him Gaio, or something, with the guy with the hat. He gets the paper, and Bonnie runs up. Oh, is that a letter? He's like, nope, just a paper. She's got that sad, puffy face that Oda loves to draw. And so now we switch back here to Alpha, and she's reading a letter, like, Jesus, that Kuma, he keeps sending so many letters. And she asks the other guy that's there, how many does this make? And the guy says he's sending about 10 a month. And this bitch, she's like, oh, how the hell is he even finding time for that? And there's like, oh, these friggin' mushy letters. And she just starts tearing it right up. And then we see a little waste bin they got there. And you can see it's piles of letters. She's been tearing up all his letters there. And we switch there to Kuma's letter writing again. And Kuma here obviously doesn't know what's going on either. He says in this letter, one last thing, Bonnie, and I'm sure you're sick of hearing this, but I love you so much. And I'll write again to you soon. So we switch to Bonnie here, and this is what's interesting to me, because I was wondering how Bonnie learned to fight so well when she was fighting with the Marines, Egghead, and then did we really see her do any physical combat, Sabaody? I'm not sure. But she's here with Gaio, and they're playing Jenga, and she's like, no, let's spar. And she changes into this buff form. Actually, I just realized this buff form looks just like how Luffy buffs up when he's in gear 5th, and he can just switch into that form. there's some other people are pointing this out too already, that when she can use her form and her age powers in a way where she can apply it to her physicality in similar ways to what Luffy can, but him being rubber, she can just age her body or buff up her body quickly, and strength wise and size, sometimes size as well here, to fight people in combat purposes as she needs to, because she wants to spar with Gyo here, and so they're sparring together, and you can see she's easily manhandling him. But he's putting up a good fight, I guess, because I mean he must be putting up a good enough fight, because I mean she's because I don't know how am I saying it, because she seems to learn how to fight well, and from him I'm supposing anyway, yeah. So anyways, they almost get caught here. So they have not revealed to Alpha that she has a devil fruit. Alpha walks in with medicine, and it's not really a medicine. It's just she's just trying to keep her covered so they can say that because she's still sick. And they almost catch her. Bonnie quickly transforms back into her normal form and is just sitting on a passed out Gaio that she I think she knocked him out. And Alpha thought she saw it, but she's like, Bonnie switched back so quickly that she was convinced at this point that she didn't see anything. She must have been seeing things, excuse me. And then she's given medicine to Bonnie, and Alpha even says, yeah, it's not really medicine to her. It's just, don't worry about it. It's just or to herself, Alpha saying this. She's just giving her this horrible lemon flavored placebo. And Bonnie, so she's kind of convinced Bonnie, yeah, you need to keep taking it. And because Bonnie's like, oh, do I have to take medicine? Is it really going to make me better? And she's like, yeah, it's definitely working. Just keep taking it. And while this is happening, Connie is there again, and her and Gaio are whispering together. And he's like, hey, are you sure we got to keep this a secret? Oh no, why are we keeping this a secret? And Connie gives this nice little philosophical style answer, like, to be safe, a talented hawk hides its claws. I like that. So now we get to Vegapunk, and this is an interesting bit 2 of the chapter. So now we get to see a little bit of Egghead. It doesn't look like he's got the weather machine working yet, but he's got a lot of building stuff appears to be erected, but he says a lot of that is just the holographic stuff. He also mentioned as a little tidbit. Anyway, well, yeah, he had planned on putting some of this type of technology up at Punk Hazard, but now we know that ain't gonna happen. And we see Stussy here. So Stussy's been checking in occasionally with Vegapunk. So she's sitting in here this day where Vegapunk is working with Kuma. Kuma's come back here to get some more of his augmentations. And Connie, at this point now, Vegapunk has also got his figured out how to detach his brain, and so that he can walk around better without it. But he has yet to put it up he hasn't built the Punk Records area yet. Where does he say that? Yeah. Using Cloud Islands. Yeah. How did he say that? Yeah. We just gotta. She says, oh yeah. Stussy says, oh, that cut suits you, and he's like, yeah, and I feel light as a feather now. Now Stussy here must have already met Kuma, because she just goes up to him and she's chatting with him. Oh, I hear you're going to lose your sense of individuality. And she makes this question remarking, I wonder which of us has a more checkered fate. The human who will lack free will, or a clone like me that doesn't. And, because she's kind of considering herself different because she's not born like a normal human being. But Vegapunk, I think it's Vegapunk that says that, is like, don't say that, Stussy. You're human as the rest of us. So now Kuma and Vegapunk go over what's going to happen with his mind once they have finished the process that Saturn wants for him. He's like, well, what am I going to expect to happen? What should I expect when my personality is gone? And Vegapunk uses like yeah. So Vegapunk says, he points out like, well, you already have this reputation for being totally obedient, but you still wouldn't want to kill a child, right? You wouldn't listen to that kind of order. Well, that's the kind of stuff that you'll be doing could do without hesitation once this is done. So at this point here, yeah, wait a minute. What point here? Okay, yeah. So this process apparently is going to take a while of them actually erasing his memory, or somehow. Maybe they haven't. Maybe it's going to take time to like change his brain, because he says it's going to take a while to do this. You have about 1 more year, roughly. And at this point, Kuma's just starting to write another letter. Actually, there's a bit of a little. I don't want to call it like a little mistake, but I just noticed that Kuma in some of these first shots was shirtless there with because he had all these instruments attached to him, especially his shoulders, while he's sitting there with Stussy and Vegapunk. But then in the last shot where they show him with Vegapunk, he's writing the letter to Bonnie. He's got a shirt on again. It looks like he's got a shirt on again. Is that supposed to be? Kind of does. Either way, okay. Let's see. So now, yeah, and Kuma just says, yeah, I'm going to keep writing letters until I run out of time. Bonnie must know everything about how I feel. I want to convey everything as a father to her so she has these, like, for posterity. And even Stussy likes this. Like, she remarks, "Oh, you're such a nice. You're such a good father." Also, by the way, I like how Stussy's dressed. She's wearing like this black coat, like dress thing that's very feathery on top, and she's got that same hat on that I think we saw at Whole Cake Island. And so now he switched to first he finished another. So Bonnie at this point is 9. So this is still 1 year. This is probably just a little bit after, right? This is 1 year before Luffy, because Luffy was 16. This is around the same time, and now Bonnie's turned 9. And Kuma comments on it. Yeah, she's almost 9 now. I wonder how big she's gotten. And then he starts another letter here, because it's almost her birthday. And he's like, I hope you'll get this letter soon, but if you don't get it right at that point, happy birthday. Happy, like, belated birthday, he's basically saying. And now we switch back to Bonnie, and we've seen that all the friends and family, and led by Connie, have led a friends and family. Her crew and everyone there that are like her family. They throw a big surprise party for her and make this big they make a pizza for her, a giant pizza instead of like a cake for her to have. Let's see here. We're getting to the good part now. But so we see a big celebration there of that. But then we get to the evening here where some of the other crew, when I say the crew, that the ones that's going to go with Bonnie eventually, they're still there. They're there sleeping, and she sneaks over. I thought she was sneaking out at first, actually, but she's just looking for another letter. And she's like, she like sits back on the pew area of the church, and she's crying there because she's reached her 9th birthday, and she still hasn't got any of his letters. So now she's getting really concerned, like, don't you love me anymore? Why aren't you writing any letters like you said you would? So then we get a little the narration saying another half year passes without any letters being able to get to Bonnie. And so next, though, we switch to anyways, yeah, we got comment on that. This douchebag. I don't think this was anything Saturn particularly said anything about needing to happen. This is just Alpha being a bitch, trying to she's just doing her job to keep an eye on Bonnie. But I looking at how this is going, this did not help her case. Alpha is gonna probably regret a little bit not letting Bonnie read those letters to like pacify her and so she would stay there. Anyways, we go to the Revolutionaries' headquarters, which is Baltico still at this time, And they're getting reports about how Kuma has been going around secretly and helping the Revolutionary Army at certain locations. But then he just leaves without even talking to any of the any commanders or the other soldiers there. When you see Sabo and Dragonhair as they're receiving this report and they're trying to figure out, okay, what's going on here? He's working as a warlord, but he's still coming around and trying to help us. So it's funny that he's able to sneak in there. It's funny though that fortunate too that none of these any reports of his activity, these activities have not gotten to the Saturn. So then they'd probably say to Alpha, hey, he's starting to act funny. You might want to twist Bonnie's arm or something. And Dragons just said, well, if he just doesn't want to be followed, we have to respect his wishes. Something's going on. Clearly something's going on with that, and that's the reason he became a warlord. That's all we get of that. So now we go back to Bonnie, and now she's finally gotten rid of all the sapphires have disappeared. She even was pointing this out to Alpha. She's like, hey, I'm all better, Nurse Alpha. Whatever she may go under an other name. Like, hey, I'm all better now. Can I go outside now? And Alpha's just like, no, I forbid it. I'm told to keep you under safe supervision until your 10th birthday. And Bonnie's just like, you're kind of like, you're being mean. It's like, Jagapunk said I would be fine after 1 year, and we're already way past that. And that was a year ago. So so they treated her when she was 7 and 8. So she must have been in here. So this is a full year now after she's been over a year. After she's been, how to say it? I'd be fine after a year, and that was a year. Okay, this is the 1 year later. So at 8, when she was about 8, or after she turned 8, she came back. Okay, so this is 1 year later, and now we get to the plan for Bonnie's escape. Connie has learned, maybe not through herself, but some other people have informed her that they found out that these nurses and doctors aren't really just that they're Cypherpole agents, and she reveals that to the other people. Oh no, she does reveal it to Bonnie too here. I thought she didn't at first. She said they had gone off for some drinks and then they let it slip. So yeah, Connie's the one that initiates this plan. She starts piecing this together. Oh, so there's something going on here. These are Cypherpole agents. They're keeping you trapped here for another 6 months. Okay, this is after that. Okay. And she said, Kuma never sent you a letter? There's definitely something going on. I'm sure that she's basically implying they're keeping you imprisoned here to keep Kuma, under on leash, I guess. So she says so we get this plan here unveiled here where she Connie says to Bonnie. Now I'm gonna get that. We already got this plan ready. We're gonna Gil and the others are already at the port. We're gonna get you out of here. We got a ship ready. You gotta go set sail now and go find your father. And Bonnie's really scared though. Like, oh, can I really do it myself? Because she was waiting for Kuma, her dad, to come back, and they were gonna go together. Maybe she thought maybe some of the others would come too, but she wanted to go with Kuma. But she's a little afraid to go herself. And Connie reassures her, oh, don't worry. Gil and the others aren't your average fishermen. They're a tough bunch. She's like, I'm sure when you guys get out to sea, the pirates and other beasts will turn tail when you see them in action. And they're Kuma's friends, so they'll be there for you, basically. So how she unveils this plan is they do a switcheroo here. Connie stays inside, and Bonnie uses her disguise form, how she does her age-up abilities. Now she looks exactly like Connie, and she's walking out with some luggage. Yeah, it must be her own luggage. She's walking out with luggage, it looks like, and she's saying that she's going through the gate, and Alpha's watching, and she just said, yeah, I'm going out back to the palace, Alpha. Okay. And So now she's walking out. This is actually this was daytime. I thought it was night at first. She's walking out during the day, and she actually has been looking around for the first time. And she's like, "Wow, there's so much. There's so much of the world out here. There's grass and dirt everywhere." And she looks up at the sun for the first time. And that's probably gonna be a nice scene in the anime too. And we see as that's happening, some other people that were staying inside, just like inside with her. They're watching this and like, oh my God, she really is cured. She's outside walking. Look at this. It's amazing. And so Connie gets to the ship, and also the ship. Let's go show in a moment. This is the ship. There was speculation. Where did I hear this? Like maybe Bonnie had gotten a ship from Big Mom because this has a food-based look to it. But it looks like the Gallo and the others built the ship themselves, and they built it up to look like a pizza because that's her favorite food. Also, it's got a different Jolly Roger. Oh, maybe that's because they're fishermen. It's got a Jolly Roger on it. It looks like it's got the crossbones, but it's got like a fish skeleton in front of it. And so, she gets to the ship. They're like, hey, there's Bonnie. Get over here. And she's turned into her regular child form at this point, so they know it's her. And they're like, yeah, Bonnie, come on, let's get going. And now Alpha has gone back to the church, and she's figured out what's going on because she can't find Bonnie. And Connie's just sitting there in there. And she's like, wait, what's going on? I saw the Queen Dowager go outside. And Connie just walks up to her, and she's wearing like some regular clothes. That's right. So she gave her outfit to Bonnie. Excuse me. She had Bonnie wear the hat she always wore and that coat. So to complete the disguise, excuse me. So now she's like probably it looks kind of like she's technically in her undergarments that she wore underneath her outfit, under her robes and stuff. And Connie just goes up to her like, oh, but I'm Bonnie. But now Alpha's figured out something's going on, and Bonnie has a devil fruit power. Because she's like, oh, it can't be two of you, so she must have escaped. And so then we see the crew setting sail. The Bonnie and her crew setting sail here. And then just as I was leaving, though, Alpha's trying to get over there and catch her. Oh man, we see her sadistic side here. She's bolting over there first, like, I found you. You guys aren't gonna get away from me. I'll beat you. And she's going on like, I'm gonna beat you into your life. And she all this nasty stuff. She said, I'll keep you chained up day and night now. I'm never gonna let you out. And she's like, oh yeah, and she's going on like, oh, this charade's over. I'm gonna take care of you now. I'm gonna make sure you suffer, basically, right? So then she gets up and she starts using the I think that's called Geppo, the one with the 6 power where they can fly. And Gallo in comments like, oh crap, she's coming towards us in the sky. It's one of those 6 powers. And this is like enrages Bonnie that like, okay, I'm not taking this crap from her anymore. And so she jumps up into the air, and first she's thinking about something her dad said. She talked of a conversation. She's like, hey Dad, what did Nika really look like? And he's like, well, no one knows. The only thing we knew about him was that his body was all rubbery, and there was no limit to what he could do in a fight. So Bonnie takes that inspiration, and she jumps into the air to intercept Alpha, and she uses something called, she uses her distorted future ability, like we've seen her use this earlier in Egghead, and she calls it a Nika-ish future. What she does is she turns first into her adult form, but taking the inspiration that Kuma told her about a rubbery body, she makes her right arm really huge, kind of like Luffy's Gear 3rd, and just socks the fuck out of Alpha right in the face. It's Oda does this in a 2-page spread, so he really has time, and the way he drew Bonnie's arm looks great, and then you get Alpha's left side of her face is pancaked, and just knocked her right out. There's no chance. I'm surprised she didn't come with any reinforcements. So they get away here, and we just get the narration again, and it says the government would soon receive word that their Hashish Bonnie had escaped to find Kuma. Like Luffy and the others, her vessel would gain fame It would go from a humble fishing ship to an infamous pirate in its ship of the new era. And as that's going on too, we just briefly see Alpha splash into the water and the crew member cheering for her, and just her smiling like I'm finally free. And it's we get that little headline. Not headline. Oda always has that little thing there where, and it says no, he puts it in like the corner. And this one reads, "A young girl heading for the future." And that's the end of the chapter. That was so satisfying. I love how he drew that shot. Damn. The lining and everything is great. And we got a break next week, unfortunately, though. But I have a feeling this could be the end of the chapter. Well, wait, maybe not. This could be the end of the flashback. Excuse me, brain froze. But like, I'm just wondering if they'll have a little bit more where like she breaks down like and does through some investigations and word of mouth stuff that she figures out. Okay, Kuma's going around here and doing stuff. He's being augmented. He's actually been augmented by Vegapunk. People will probably be talking about that now. She just hasn't probably heard about that through the papers. Probably aren't even reporting on that, unless she just wasn't reading them when they were coming in, because Alpha was allowing the papers to be delivered to her, but not any letters. Of course, Kuma wouldn't talk about that, but she figures that out at some point, because then we see how she's pissed at Vegapunk now. So I would think that could be the last bit of flashback that Oda could probably give us. But after that, I see no reason to continue anything else, obviously, now, because we're now this is right up to the point where Luffy's about to leave, and she's just left to her place for them to set sail and go out to sea, each for their own reasons, obviously. And I want to make a quick comment, too. I'm amazed how Bonnie's fruit can let her do this kind of stuff, amazed in the way that it's, because Luffy's rubbery, he can recover for that. I'm wondering if Bonnie did stuff like this too much, if it would have more of a backlash of sorts on her body to like pump up one arm to be so big like that. Because clearly the arm is so big. I can't quite tell the scale for sure, but it almost looked like it would be big enough to pick up a human body in it like that when she punches out Alpha. And her Alpha body looks like it's fairly normal size, although you can see her left arm got some pumped up too there in the background. Yeah, this is a really good chapter, and I found the most interesting thing though was that it was neat to see that Stussy was secretly going back into and talking there with Vegapunk. Also, that leads me to think something too though. He must have been more careful by now. Oh, obviously he must have, because he must have been more. I was thinking about how he wasn't careful. And 2 chapters ago, where to make sure there was no Denden Mushies listening, and Kizaru mentioned that. But now he must have been. He now must have, after that they cleared out, maybe after Kizaru and everyone left, any other soldiers that could have been there watching Kuma, I wonder if now he's like scoured through his lab and made sure there's nothing there. He's got Stussy there, who probably is Cypher Pole Zero at this time, because this is 2.5, 3 years ago, this part of the flashback. And if they found out she was working with him, I think that would just be the end of it for both of them already, because they would be worried about him getting government secrets that she knows, stuff like that. Also, that's obvious. He must have Vegapunk must have cleared out those sneaky Denden Mushies, because he's just studying the Void Century somehow already at this point, I'm sure, and they didn't find out until York is created and tells them. At this point too, they don't show that he's made the satellites. He has taken off his big head over 2 years ago, but not the satellites still aren't around yet, it appears. Also, the other thing I was gonna say is it's nice to see that Kuma was secretly trying to help his friends at the Revolutionary Army still, as well. Also, I just noticed, too, that Bonnie's wearing the same kind of outfit as a child that we've seen her wear when we first saw her as Sabaody. She's got a white tank top. She's wearing shorts that use suspenders to connect up. And then she's got these, I think she's wearing boots or something, though, at Sabaody. Wait. Was that what she was wearing? let's see. Let me check that picture then. Yeah, she was wearing some kind of like stockings and boots that later on, but she has like just shoes on right now. But the other part of the other bit of the outfit's very similar here, and I think they showed it in the last 2 chapters too, where she's dressed up like that. I wonder if that means, well, they're in the South, right? So it's probably pretty warm, and that's why she's wearing that. What was the other thing? There was one other thing, and I'll leave it there today. Oh yeah, the thing with Luffy. I wonder what Kuma. I wonder if Kuma was just like wanting to know, like, Dragon, what were you keeping from me? That was very interesting to see why he was going there. He obviously wanted to prove he was right about that, about Dragon having a son, because Dragon wasn't going to tell him directly. Let's see. Good thing they weren't trying to upload any memories in his mind to the government stuff, so that they couldn't figure out anything about him knowing about his secrets. I'm actually surprised Saturn didn't try to put that into the deal. Hey, you tell me what else you know about the Revolutionary Army, then we'll talk. Where's the main base and all that stuff? I just realized, why didn't Saturn ask for that? Why wouldn't he care that the Revolutionary Army can still run rampant? I'm saying that wrong. He has one of the top commanders in his possession now, right, at his beck and call, because he has the daughter hostage. Ask him about the Revolutionary Army. I don't know why he didn't do that one. Yeah, and the Alpha Punch was obviously very satisfying. We knew she was going to be a bitch after we saw her do that little thing when she crushed a rock or something in front of Kuma in the last chapter. It's like, we all were thinking, oh, this bitch has to go. And she gets her... Oh, that's the other thing, too. I'm thinking she better have ran and hide from the government after this, because once they found out she failed, she may have received some treatment that was similar to Who's Who, after he lost the gum gum fruit when losing Bonnie, because Kuma is still not fully transformed into losing his mind yet. So now they just lost their leverage to their most obedient and useful warlord. So Alpha's in trouble. She better just hightail it. If I was her, I certainly would. Now this points out too that I talked about before, but there was that chapter with which one was it? With come on, a second here. With Akainu, where he is talking about how they lost her. I think it was 524. Was that the one? Let me see. No, that was the earlier one. It was later on. What was that one? 595. That was the one. Let me see. Yeah, that was in the beginning of 595 So I wonder what they tried to do with Bonnie when they caught her there. So Blackbeard was the one that ended up catching her, though. Then they flee, and then Akainu comes, because Akainu comes, and then now they have her. And but she gets away again, because we see her at Reverie 2 years later. So they know she has a devil fruit by now, but somehow, so I'm thinking they would have probably used, sea prism stone stuff. And they probably would have done that to her as in this flashback too, if they had known she had a devil fruit. I bet Alpha would have requested right away, hey, the hostage has a devil fruit. I need sea prism. Request sea prism handcuffs right away in case they're necessary. But anyway, and stuff like that. But I'm wondering if someone helped Bonnie escape from her when she got captured by Akainu here. I just don't know how she could get away now that they know she has a devil fruit. But that'll be a spectacle. We can figure that out another day. Hopefully they give us a little more on some stuff like this later on. Maybe that'll be part of a flashback we can get too, on how she escaped and was heading for Egghead in the next chapter. Anyways, I think I'll leave that here for today.